Okay, so a conversation about scams and fraud part 2. Again, for anybody who wasn't here last time, and anyone who needs a reminder, my name is Courtney Wilkes, and I'm a staff attorney at Tzedek, DC, where I specialize in financial exploitation and fraud prevention. And this is only a training. I'm not providing any legal advice. And there's no attorney-client relationship that's being created by this presentation. And if you do need some legal advice, you are encouraged to reach out to an attorney who will listen to you tell your story, and then will tell you how the law applies to the facts in your story. All right. So I'm going to just do a really quick review of my organization and the common scams that target seniors. And then we're going to spend a little bit more time on the parts that we kind of had to rush over last time, which were how to protect yourself, what to do if you think you may be a victim of a scam, and then also my contact information and any questions that you all have. We can get to those. All right. So Tzedek DC is headquartered at UDC's David A. Clark School of Law, and we're a nonprofit. And we do 3 main types of work. We do direct legal services, policy change, and also education, outreach. And our legal services are focused on low-income DC residents who are dealing with debt and other consumer-related issues. Okay, so last time I was here, we ran through a bunch of scams. And so I wanted to just make sure that we looked at these slides again. And if you have questions about any of these scams, make a little mental note or an actual note, and we can talk about it at the end. All right, so a government imposter scam is a really common one where Social Security Administration, IRS, Department of Homeland Security, you get a call from somebody saying they're from one of those agencies. They sound really authoritative and scary, and they're trying to get you to send money to them somehow. Again, the government is really unlikely to be calling you, and they're never going to threaten you over the phone with any kind of arrest or legal action if you don't pay them immediately. And does anybody remember what I told you about gift cards last time? If somebody asks you to pay with gift cards, what is that?
A scam.
It's a scam. They're doing you a favor and making it easy for you to identify it as a scam. All right. So that's another common feature of these government imposter scams, is that they may ask you to pay them in gift cards. Although it won't always be gift cards. It can be wire transfers, cryptocurrency, or even mailing cash. So, okay. The next one is a sweepstakes or a lottery scam. If you never entered into a lottery and you're getting messages saying that you won, definitely be skeptical. And even if you think that it might be legit for some reason, and so you start to talk to them, if they tell you that they need you to pay them first, that's a scam. Because you're not going to end up getting any money. They're going to take your money and run. All right. Next is robocalls and other phone scams. So robocalls have been really on the rise. I'm sure we all have been getting them a lot. It's usually recorded calls. We talked about this last time, these scammers are getting really tech savvy, and in some cases they are using your voice. They're recording it, and then they are like using it in their scams. So you really don't want to even answer call from an unknown number, especially if your phone does you a favor and tells you that it's probably scam or spam. You just really want to avoid getting onto any kind of robocall, because they could be recording. And they also could trick you into thinking that you really do have a warranty that's expiring and you need to pay them to renew it, or that you're getting some kind of refund from a business or the government, but in order to get it, you have to pay them. So just be very wary of any kind of recorded call. And the best way to protect yourself from these kinds of calls is, again, to not answer. If they need to reach you, they'll leave a message. And when they leave you a message, it gives you a chance to really analyze if it sounds legitimate or not before they start putting the pressure on for you to actually send them money. All right. And then tech support scams. These often come from like Geek Squad or Norton Antivirus. Somebody's pretending to be them. So you might get an email saying that your computer has a virus and they're going to help you with it, or that you need to renew your service with them. These companies, they're really meant to be actively used by the user. Like you're supposed to kind of like run scans on your own computer and figure out if you've got a virus. They're really not going to like reach out to you and tell you by email that they found that, like, Ms. Jane Doe, you have a virus on your computer. We found it and we're contacting you to tell you about it. They don't ever do that. They want you to kind of be responsible for running your own scans and like figuring out. I mean, your downloaded software might tell you that you have a virus, but you won't ever get an email from them about that. Any kind of tech related communication you should be very, very skeptical of, because scammers really just love to impersonate, because they've found that these are pretty effective ways to get people into conversations where they can then start to put on the pressure. And if they start talking about needing access to your desktop, they might say, okay, like download something and it'll help me like control your desktop. Don't ever let somebody control your desktop, because once they do that, they can get into anything. It'll be really easy for them to go in and take money out of your bank account. Don't ever let them have access to your bank account, even without having them go into your computer. Don't give them your bank account number or anything. A real tech support company is not going to need that information. With all of these scams that we're going through, I just want to acknowledge that it can be really, really, really hard to tell if it's a scam or not. And that is a constant challenge. So don't be afraid of getting a second opinion from somebody else, whether it's a family member or a neighbor or a lawyer, or the AARP. I'm going to have information about this on a later slide, but they have a hotline that you can call to ask about scams and fraud. And I'm sure that they would be happy to listen to you read off an email, and they'll tell you if it's a scam or not. All right. So next is the grandparent scam. This one I hate because it really plays on the love that people have for their family members. But this is where somebody will call and say, we've got your grandchild, in jail and you need to pay their bail, or we've kidnapped them and you need to pay the ransom. These are pretty common. And again, they're going to use high pressure tactics. They're going to try to keep you on the phone, not let you step away to think about whether this is real or not. They're just going to pressure you, and really play on your emotions. And they're also going to try to get you to volunteer information so that they can then say, of course, no, you just said your grandson's name is Jimmy, and this is we've got Jimmy here. So only ask for information from them and don't give information if you happen to even end up on the phone with them, which hopefully you won't, because you're not answering phone calls from unknown numbers, unfamiliar numbers. All right. So again, the basic signs of a scam. And you want to try to remember these so that if you're suddenly faced with a phone call where somebody's trying to scam you, you can think about whether each of these applies. Okay, is this scammer trying to get me to feel some kind of emotion, whether it's fear, excitement in like a lottery scam? I see a couple of hands coming up, and I really don't want you to lose your question if it's a question or a comment, but if you could just like hang on to it, make a note. Thank you so much. So are they trying to get me to feel emotion, or am I feeling a strong emotional response to this? That's a clue. Another is it urgent? Are they telling you that something needs to happen right now and they're not letting you get off the phone? They really don't want to let that emotion go away and let your rational brain take back over. They want you to make an emotional decision. So is there some unreasonable urgency? And then are they trying to isolate you? Which is really connected to the urgency. Are they trying to prevent you from talking to other people about this situation, because that the other people might influence you and tell you, no, this is a scam? So if you get on the phone and you say, hey, you know what, I'm really not sure about sending you this money right now. I really need to call my husband. And they say, no, I'll help you figure it out. That is a big red flag. Another way that they'll isolate is if they're telling you they need you to get gift cards and you forgot that means that they're a scammer, so you end up at a CVS with them, they're going to make sure that you keep them on the phone so that they can control whether or not you end up talking to the cashier about the gift cards, because a lot of cashiers are kind of trained these days to try to prevent people from buying a lot of gift cards. And they might ask questions. And so the scammer, they're going to keep you on the phone, and they're going to either give you the answers to the questions that you're being asked, or they're going to just tell you not to talk to the cashier. So if you're being sort of strangely controlled in terms of how much you're allowed to talk to other people, that is a big, big red flag. All right. So Denise, I also see you raising your hand, and so please make a little note of your question. I'm going to jot down your names here so that I can see that you at least raise your hand, and I will make sure to call on you at the end. I think Thelma, you had raised your hand earlier as well. So I've got 3 hands. All right. So next, how to protect yourself. So what do you think? What should you do if you think something's a scam? I'm sorry, I'm repeating myself over and over on this, but it's so important to remember. If you're getting a call that's from an unknown number, don't answer it. Let them leave a voicemail so that you have some time to assess whether it's legitimate or not. And if you end up on the phone with a scammer and you go through those three words we just talked about, emotion, urgency, and isolation, and you're like, this person's doing 1, 2, or 3 of these, and I think it's a scam. It's okay to hang up. I give you all permission to just hang up the phone on them. It's okay to leave your manners at the door. If you stay on the phone and you start resisting them, they're going to be so mean to you. They don't respect you. You don't need to respect them. You can hang up the phone. It's okay. All right. And then don't click on any links that seem like They might be a little fishy. Definitely try to get a second opinion before you click on a link. A common scam that involves links these days, in addition to like the tech scams, we talked about emails from like Geek Squad. Another one is Amazon text messages where they're like, oh, we're trying to deliver a package to you, but we don't have your address. Click on this link to update your address. These links are very dangerous because they can give the scammer access to your device without you even realizing it. So try to avoid links at all costs. Always get a second opinion before you click it. If you like to use Google, that is another place for a second opinion. You can type in what the message said, and if it was indeed a scam, other people are probably talking about that text message saying, watch out, this is a scam. And that will confirm for you that it was good that you didn't click the link because it turned out it was a scam. All right. And then also trust your instincts. If there's a little voice in your head that's saying this feels off, trust it. The scammers are doing everything that they can to keep that voice silent with the emotion and the urgency. They don't want you to be second guessing. But if you're feeling it, just trust it. It's so much better to be safe than sorry. So it's very hard to get your money back. And so just go with your gut. Okay. And this picture is of a guy realizing that he was on the phone with a scammer and hanging up. Actually, I don't know. That's what I imagine it to be. All right. How to protect yourself. So stay informed. It helps a lot to get alerts from a trusted source about like what kinds of scams are popping up or are increasing in frequency. So there are a couple of ways to get those kinds of alerts. One is from the Federal Trade Commission, the FTC. They do really, really good scam alerts. And they unfortunately are limited to email right now. I know not everybody uses email, but if you do use email, I recommend signing up for these alerts. And you can do that by going to ftc.gov/consumer alerts, and then you'll put in your email address. And those, I'm so sorry. I'm working from home and my dog is very eager to be in my lap. So she's just gonna be so you'll get emails from them. I think the frequency is probably once every couple of days, and it will just be kind of a warning about a type of scam that they're seeing. And they really know about the scams that are out there because people report scams to them all the time, which we'll talk about, I think, on the next slide, because we can all join that effort to raise awareness about scams. So that's one. The next is the AARP Fraud Watch Network. They do text alerts. I signed up myself about a month ago to kind of test it out and just to see how frequent it was going to be and how much information they provide. And in the last month, I've only gotten one text from them. So it sounds like it's not going to be a lot. And the one text that I got was about, it says AARP, the perils of timeshare resale offers. So they're warning consumers about timeshare resales. I don't know what other kinds of scams they're going to be raising awareness about, but it's another good trusted source. Sometimes it's nice to just have a reminder that there is information out there about these scams. There are people that are working on this, and you can always go to them for more information. So if you're interested in getting the text messages from the AARP, you can open up a text message and type in the number 50757 as like the number that you're texting. And then just type in the letters FWN, which stands for Fraud Watch Network. So you text FWN to 50757, and then they're just going to text you back saying, can you confirm that you want to be added to our scam alert network? And then you can just write back yes. And then whenever they send out a text, you'll get it. Okay. And then some other great ways to protect yourself are to regularly check your bank and your credit card statements for any unusual activity. A lot of people have no idea that somebody's been dipping into their checking account or dipping into their credit card until they look and they see that somebody went to Best Buy yesterday and bought something and it wasn't you. So make sure you're taking a look. Whenever you go in to pay your credit card bill, just check out what were the transactions that happened between the last time you paid it and this time. Or whenever a statement comes in, just take a look. Check your credit reports at least once a year to make sure that it is correct, complete, and up to date. Annualcreditreport.com is the place to go. It's a free website and it's a secure website, and the three major credit reporting agencies, Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax, they all let you pull your credit report from that website. And the reason it's really important to look at it is because sometimes you'll find out that there's a whole credit card that was open in your name but that you didn't know about. Or there might be some in your personal information, there might be some addresses or phone numbers or even names that you don't recognize. And those are clues that somebody tried to use your social security number to open up an account. And they put in other information that is not accurate for you because they were trying to probably prevent you from learning about the attempt to open up an account in your name. So they wanted mail to go somewhere else or phone calls to go somewhere else. So if you've never checked your credit report before, we are very happy to help you do that. We have a financial coach who pulls credit reports for people all the time and would be happy to help you do it. So you can just call our main number, which I'll show you at the end, and request that kind of help. I also just want to mention that thankfully, because of COVID, a silver lining, I probably said this last time, but if I didn't, forgive me because I want to repeat this over and over. You can actually get your credit report for free from all three of these agencies, TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian, once a week until the end of 2023. Before COVID, it was once a year. And after this year, after 2023, it's going to go back to once a year. But because of COVID, they recognized that people were having issues with their identities being stolen and issues with managing their finances because of increased, medical bills or whatever it was. And they wanted to just make sure that people had access to their own credit information. And so they've made it so you can go onto that website once a week and pull your reports. So don't be shy about doing it. There's really no downside. As long as you're doing it, on your own personal computer and not in a public library, where others maybe could access some of your personal information that you put in. And yeah, just take the time to look at your reports and understand what's in there, and you can dispute anything that's inaccurate. And if you need help, reach out. We would love to help. All right, and then talk to others in your community about scams. We're all being targeted. Those conversations, they help you because you learn about the experiences of other people in your community, and they help others in your community because you're helping raise their awareness. And by sharing your own experience, you're helping them learn from whatever you went through. Lorraine, I see your hand and I've written your name down on my little list here. So please make a note of your question or your comment. And we'll be getting to those of you with your hands raised very soon. All right. And then you can also watch YouTube videos. There are a lot of videos about scams. The Federal Trade Commission has a lot of good videos. If you enjoy seeing people sort of get revenge, there are a lot of people on YouTube who make videos where they will scam the scammer. So these are people who like are really high tech and they really understand how to basically they understand how to be a scammer, but they're doing it for good. And so they will like go into scammer's computer and then like delete all of the scammer's money. So those are very cathartic. They help you feel better if you've ever been scammed. Because you see scammers getting scammed. And it can also help you kind of learn a little bit more about how the scammers operate, because sometimes these sort of Robin Hood types, they'll pretend to be a victim, and so they'll play along with a scam, and so you can watch how it goes, and they'll play along for a while until either they successfully scam the scammer by working their own tech magic, or the scammer kind of catches on and gets frustrated and then starts yelling at them, which is how I know that these scammers can be so mean, because they will really start screaming at you if you're not sending the money. And yeah, so it's another way to learn about how these scams go, but it's less about like know your rights and more about, it's kind of like a reality TV kind of experience to watch. Okay. And so, yeah, just as a reminder, I didn't put the website in here for the credit reports. I'm going to put it into the chat really quickly. It's www.annualcreditreport.com. Annualcreditreport.com. They used to have a lot of commercials, and they had a jingle that I think was probably not that good of a jingle because I don't remember it. And the best jingles are ones that you remember for the rest of your life. But yeah, annualcreditreport.com. All right. And Michael, I see your hand as well. And I've got you here on my list. Okay. Make a note, please, of your question or your comment. All right. And then what to do if you think you may be a victim of a scam. I'm going to encourage everybody here to file a report. Even though in most cases you may not get your money back, it's still worth trying. And reporting any scam that you encounter is imperative to help others avoid being scammed. So we need to make sure that we're all reporting scams and fraud so that law enforcement is able to pick up on trends and also start to kind of target major scammers who are going after like thousands of people. The more people who report those scams, the more information law enforcement has to figure out where the scammers are, who they're targeting, and then shut them down. So there are a few places that you can file. A good place to start, this is where I always encourage people to file, is with the Federal Trade Commission. On their website, reportfraud.ftc.gov, and I'm going to just show it to you really quickly. This is what it looks like. You should all be able to see it. Yes. So reportfraud.ftc.gov. You can click report now, and then it will walk you through this form. That only takes a few minutes. If anybody here ever goes to the Congress Heights Senior Wellness Center, I'm going to be doing a reporting workshop at the Senior Wellness Center on September 29th, where folks can come and I'll have my computer and I'll help with like submitting any reports about scams and fraud that people have seen. So, and it'll be the first time that I'm doing that kind of workshop, but I'm going to be trying to do more and more of them out in the community. So, if you go to a different Senior Wellness Center, keep your eyes peeled because I'll hopefully be coming there soon. All right, Brenda, I see you. Got two Brendas now. Okay.
So them to unmute, so while they're waiting, they can jump right in after each question. So those
I'm sorry,
are
what was that?
hands raised if you can unmute your devices. So that
Oh, I'm so sorry. I accidentally skipped. I need to finish up my presentation really quickly. Sorry. Okay, so two other places. There's, if you have like a very specific type of scam, like the IRS likes to have you report IRS related scams to them, and same with the Social Security Administration. You can always go to usa.gov/where-report-scams. So, and that website will ask you about what kind of scam it was, and then it will tell you where you should go to report for like a specific government agency. You can still file with the FTC, that first website. You can file with them about any kind of scam, and they'll take it and they'll share it with like almost 2,000 law enforcement agencies across the country. But if you're feeling really motivated and want to do a more specific report, you can go to usa.gov/where-report-scams and figure out like, what's the website for reporting an IRS scam specifically to the IRS, that kind of thing. And then fightcybercrime.org is another organization that will give you some guidance on where to report. And then there's also the DC Office of the Attorney General. They take consumer issues pretty seriously there. And so you can always file a report with them, and then they'll have one of their sort of like mediators reach out. If it's something that is a scam that was done by like a company or a person that can be really easily identified, they'll try to work it out. Oh yeah, somebody here's unmuted.
I'll mute them. I've just muted them.
Oh, thank you. And if it is like a scammer who is located in like Singapore, they're probably not going to be able to help much, but I think they still like to receive information about those kinds of scams because they want to know how DC residents are being impacted by scams and fraud, generally, even if they can't help. But if it's a local thing, local meaning like in the US, and it's like a scam from a company or an individual person who can be identified, they will help you. They'll try to help you work that out and get your money back. They'll try to get your money back. And all the clients who I've had file reports with the Office of the Attorney General, where is that situation, like they can identify the company or the person, they've had a really good experience. And in most of the cases, they've gotten their money back. So do not underestimate like the passion of the people in the DC Office of the Attorney General in their consumer protection unit. They're good. All right. And then lastly here. So what to do if you think you may be a victim of scam? A couple more things. You can ask for help and support. For immediate assistance, like you get off the phone and you're like, I just was on the phone to the scammer and I'm either like really shaken up or I sent money and I don't know what to do. If you need immediate help or somebody to talk to, you can call the AARP's Fraud Watch Network. which we talked about earlier. They're the same network that does the text messages. They have a hotline or helpline, which is 877-908-3360. And you can talk to somebody. You can check with them about whether something might have been a scam. They also can provide emotional support and practical advice. So let's say you accidentally clicked on a link and you're scared that now a scammer maybe has some access to your phone. You can call them and get some advice on steps that you should take. And it doesn't matter if you're a member of AARP or not. This is available to anybody. And I'm just reading this little line down here below the picture. It says, trained fraud specialists and volunteers field thousands of calls each month. Get guidance that you can trust, free of judgment. So that's what they're offering. And Rosetta, I see you, and I've got you now on my list of people to call on after this slide. So next is for assistance with filing a law enforcement report and taking other steps to recover from a scam. You can contact a legal service organization, like the Legal Counsel for the Elderly, or my organization, which is Tzedek DC. And we'll do what we can. It really depends on the type of scam, whether we'll be able to actually help you recover your money or not. But we can always help with reporting the scam. All right. So I will leave this up while I answer any questions. So I'm gonna run through the list. I'm gonna do this in the order that people raise their hands. So Thelma, you would raise your hand early on. Do you still have a question?
And so where Thelma had left.
Oh, Thelma left. Okay, thank you. All right. Brenda
Yes,
McManus. Yes.
yes, Miss Wilkes. Now they tried to make me a victim of all of these scams, but I'm not having it. So the first one that I went through was the grandparent scam. And this happened a few years ago. And my first grandson, he was about 5 or 6. So I got a call and it says, "Hi, Grandma, this is your grandson."
Mm.
And I said, "No, it's not. I'm looking at my grandson. This was a grown man." So I said, forget that. The next one was the IRS scam, where they said, "We've been trying to get in touch with you regarding your taxes." And I know I'm up to date on my taxes. So they told me to go out and get a gift card and then call them back and read the number. I said, "Okay, I'll do that." So I kind of play along with them. So I'm not going through it. And then the Medicare scam, this happened a few years back as well. I had written down all the numbers that they were calling me from. It was the same person that was calling me. And I kept telling him, "I'm not giving you my information. It's a scam." And he got belligerent with me. "I'm trying to help you and I'm doing all this." And I did contact AARP Fraud Alert. I gave them all the numbers that they called me from. So, I mean, I've been subject to all of these. I get emails saying that I have a package for Amazon. And I said, "Well, I'm not clicking on that link." And then I got food from this restaurant in Maryland called Sardi's. And I used my card and I checked my account a few days later and I was charged money for going to the Giant. They used it for the La Quinta Inn, which was like across the street from it. They used it for Tinder. I think Tinder was a dating service. So I had to get rid of that card. I contacted my financial institution and they voided that card and gave me another card. But I mean, there's a lot. You just have to be wary of all of this stuff. And then got a call from a law enforcement agency saying they have a warrant for my arrest. And I said, "Well, what did I do?" So you just have to be vigilant because they're out here to get you. And my last thing is, you said that you get the free credit report once a week. So how do you go about getting that? Is that through the mail or through their email address?
Great question. And also thank you for sharing all of those experiences that you've had.
Yes.
So to get your credit report, you can go to annualcreditreport.com, and I'm going to show it to you right now. So annualcreditreport.com. Once you get here, you can see this message here that says, during this period of economic uncertainty, managing your financial health is important. That's why Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion are continuing to offer free weekly online credit reports.
Okay.
And then click the red button, request your free credit reports. And these are the 3 steps that you'll need to take. Fill out a form, pick the reports you want, and then review them online. And then just click that and just fill out the form. There's a decent chance that you will not be able to pull your report from 1 or 2 or maybe even 3 of these agencies online if they're having trouble verifying your identity. They'll say we can't give it to you online. If that's the case, then they'll give you a phone number that you can call to request it by phone. And you can also request it by mail. I think it will also give you it'll also say you can request it by mail using this form, and then it will give you a link to the form that you print. You'll have to print out and mail in. Yeah. But this is the easiest way to do it online if you're able to. Yeah.
Okay, great. All right. Thank you so much.
Yeah, great question. And I just want to say that I'm so glad that you mentioned that you had gone to a restaurant in Maryland and then these charges started showing up somewhere else.
Yes.
That happened to me as well once. And the way that I think that happens generally is oftentimes they use card skimmers.
Right.
So somebody may have swiped your card and then just stolen your card information through whatever device they had attached to the payment device.
Right.
And this often happens at gas stations, and it can happen at CVS or 7-Eleven. It can happen anywhere. And a good way to protect yourself from card skimmers is to use the tapping feature when you can.
Okay, right. I think the time they didn't have it. At the time, they didn't have that right.
Yeah. So I know that it's a transition. I'm still trying to get my dad to learn how to tap. Because it can be a little stressful to figure out where you should tap your card. But don't be shy about asking the person who's at the register, if I want to just tap my card, where do I tap? And they'll help. But it's a good way to protect your card from the skimmer that would just steal your card information so that it can be used later.
Yeah. And you know what, Ms. Wilkes, at the time I was right there at the register and I used my card in their device. So it must have been a reader on the device when I did it. So it was not like they took it from me and went to the register. I wasn't at a table. I was right there at the machine. So
I had a similar experience where I was buying something at a furniture store, and the guy who did the transaction was doing small talk with me. And he was like, "Oh yeah, I haven't been to Texas Roadhouse in a while." He was randomly talking to me about Texas Roadhouse, and then when he swiped my card, it did make a weird beeping noise that I'd never heard before. So I remember thinking, "Oh, that was odd." And then the next day, I got a notification from my bank that my card had been used at Texas Roadhouse, and they thought it was suspicious. This guy couldn't have made it more obvious. So funny. Anyway, so next up, I see Denise.
Hi, how are you? Yeah, you kind of asked I'm kind of answering my question, but anyway, I was wanted to know, do any of these scammers get caught? And when they do, what is an organization, is a company, and if it is, you say when people's out of the country, they can't hardly catch up with them that way, but in local. So if it's a
Mhm.
local thing, when they get caught and you know, they look and see the money or whatever they've been taking from the people, do they contact the people, they give them their money back? Do they tell the people who the scammer was? Or they just give you your money back?
That's a really good question. So the Federal Trade Commission, that's the agency that had that website that I showed you where you can file the fraud report.
Mm-hmm.
They're one of the agencies that actually goes after scammers and fraudsters. And they will generally, let's say they're going after like there's like maybe like a pyramid scheme or like a real estate investment scam where like some guy has gotten people to buy classes from him where he teaches you how to invest in real estate, but then he actually doesn't give you any useful information and just takes your money and doesn't provide you any help with your real estate investments. So you've basically been scammed. If the FTC gets enough reports about like that guy who's running that operation, then they might go after him and get him to return money to people who he scammed. And they will usually try to do that by getting information from the scammer or the fraudster about who they dealt with, and then they'll contact those people. But I recently met with some people from the FTC and talked about this very thing. They said that if they can't get information from the scammer or the fraudster directly about who was scammed, then they rely on the reports that were filed, which is another reason why it's really a good idea to always file a report with the FTC to get your name in with them, so that if they end up getting money back from a particular scammer, they've got your name and your contact information and they can get that money back to you.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Wow. That's
And
a big thing going on. I'm telling you, it's crazy, you know, but people getting educated now more at it. So
yep.
maybe it come to an end one day.
Yeah. So file with the FTC and get your name on their radar so that if they get money back from a scammer, they can get it to you.
Well, do they prosecute the people after they catch up with them?
Yeah, it's in some cases, yes. In some cases they do. In other cases, it's not, they don't go the criminal route. They'll just do like a civil route where they'll just make the person pay money and not like do any jail time or anything. But sometimes it involves
because that
criminal
case,
prosecution.
they'll just find another way and get it going again. Because ain't nothing really happening but giving the people their money back, and they go do another one. So just gonna keep repeating itself.
Yeah.
Really. But thank you for the
thank you so much for the question. Okay, we've got 9 minutes left. So I'm gonna keep trucking along here. Michael.
Yes, I think this is a very good blessing today, because blessing and a lesson, because I just received something from the FTC by email, and it's talking about people using LinkedIn to run a scam. They want you to pay for taking classes or pay to get a job. And I know for myself, you never pay to get a job because you don't have a job. So why would you pay to get a job? So that's a big scam that's going on LinkedIn. You know. So,
yes.
Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say I also got that email and I wasn't aware of that scam before I got it. So I'm glad that the FTC is raising awareness about it.
Yeah. And since we're on that subject, I want to tell you about this big scam that's going around. I mean, apparently it's been going for ages. It's with the mega multi-giant Facebook. They are running scams at various offices around the nation and around the world because they have headquarters set up throughout the world. And somebody in the offices are asking for social security numbers and personal visas and IDs, and you got to send them a copy of everything in order to be on Facebook. And I brought this to the class once before, and I was told my fears were justified because that's a scam. Nobody, no organization asks for your social and personal information in order to be on their website. So
Yeah.
I just wanted to pass that on.
Thank you. And if you haven't already, I would recommend calling the Fraud Watch Network helpline and making sure that they're aware of that.
Okay, the Fraud Watch helpline.
Yeah, I put it back on the screen here, that the AARP Fraud Watch Network helpline, which was the 877-908-3360 number.
978-3630.
It was 877-908.
Yes, got it.
3360.
3360. Okay, I got it. Yeah,
All right.
I'll let them know.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, Brenda Thompson.
Hi, how are you?
Good, thanks.
I wanted to know the text number you gave us at the beginning of the session.
Great.
505. That's all I got.
All right. So it's the second bullet point here on my screen.
Right.
And it says just text FWN to 50757.
Okay.
Okay, just
And
coming in about, your time is up in about 5 minutes.
Yes.
I'm letting you know.
Thank you.
And then so we may have question? One question, that's it?
We'll see how quickly we can go. So Rosetta, do you have a quick question? Okay, I'm going to jump to Doris.
Neither of them are.
Yes, ma'am. Miss Courtney,
Yes.
this is Rosetta Archie, dear.
Okay. Hi.
Okay, what I want to talk to you about was kind of personal, but I can give a brief part of what I want to talk about.
Sorry, Rosetta, do you mind, since I only got like 4 minutes left, do you mind if we keep this to very quick questions?
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Maybe I should wait.
Okay, yeah, you and I can speak separately.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Wilda? Wilda, Ms. Bud? Wilda Bud.
I'm asking her to unmute.
Okay. Let's go ahead and go with Ann Dennis.
hi, Courtney.
Hi. Ann, you accidentally just remuted. Do you have a question?
Yes. I wanted to ask you, were you aware that there's someone impersonating a police officer and knocking on people's doors? And
No, I'm not.
Well, it's happened in River Terrace, and obviously I seem to be the only one that knows the number to the police department.
Wow.
But it just so happened that the guy that was bringing my mom's meals was here. And I called, he told me his name. I asked him what his name was, and it showed me a badge, but I knew that it was a badge, a copy, because I'm very aware of what the police department's badge looks like. But they're going around knocking and they're telling you that you're under arrest because of the you owe taxes, back taxes, and this and that. And like I told him, I said, you know, I don't know who you think you fooling with. I said, every old person is not brain dead. And I said, I have police right here on the phone and they want to talk to you. And so he walked away. We never did see a police car. He said
Wow.
it was parked down in the corner, around the corner. So we were trying to figure out why you parked your car around the police car around the corner if there was a spot in front of my house. So I was just wondering if anybody else had that experience. A couple of people who had it in River Terrace are afraid to talk to the police for some reason.
Okay.
And report this stuff. But I keep telling them, the more people that report these things, maybe a way to stop it.
Yeah. Thank you for raising awareness about that. That's really concerning. And
Okay.
I'm glad that you reported it.
And thank you, Courtney, for coming. And I hope you come again.
Thank you.
Very informative. Yes.
All right.
Hi, this is Wilda. I'm sorry, I had
Sure.
to step away. My question is, in pulling my credit report, my problem is I don't know the answers to all the questions. I bought a car maybe 20 years ago. I don't remember.
That's a good question. So Wilda is referring to, like, when you're requesting a report, they're going to ask you a series of questions to verify your identity. And it'll be things like, what year did you take out a car loan? So it's important to know that some of those are trick questions. They're trying to see if how well you know yourself. And if none of the answers apply, you can just say none of them apply. If anybody here has ever experienced any form of financial abuse, I do want to warn you that going through the process of requesting your credit report can be upsetting if you're faced with questions that seem like, okay, maybe I did take out a car loan, I just don't know about it, but it was done in my name. So if you have ever experienced any kind of financial abuse, like, prepare yourself to deal with some questions where you're going to have to be kind of thinking about whether it's possible that something actually one of the answers is true and you just don't know, or if it's a trick question and you should be answering none of the above, like none of these.
Well, no, it's not trick. But I don't remember, like, you didn't want to know how much did you, or was your car note or whatever. I don't remember.
Yeah, so I would say just do your best, and if you're unable to do your best, and if you're unable to get your report this week, try again next week, because they're going to ask you different questions.
Oh, okay, thank you.
All right.
Okay.
Okay,
we'll
so
just
yeah, I'm out of time.
wrap it up. He's out of time. For those of you who
I
have
got
any.
lost on my screen when you
So,
asked me the question. I'm just get back to you.
I'm sorry, but we just cannot take any questions beyond this point. I promised Courtney, she'll be out of here at 2:30, and I did state that at the very beginning. 2:30 is her deadline.
It is. I would love to come back someday. So please hang on to your questions. I'm just going to really quickly answer two questions from the chat that I got. Tzedek, the name Tzedek, it means justice in Hebrew. And so that is how our name got chosen. And then somebody else asked about the do not call list from the FTC. It does still exist. You can sign up for do not call list. It unfortunately will not protect you from all scam calls because somehow they get around it. So it will protect you from some calls, but not all. So go ahead and sign up. It'll reduce the number of calls that you're getting, but still be very cautious about unknown numbers. And that's it for today. Thank you all so much for having me back. I love being here with you all, and I hope to see you again in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you, Courtney. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.